The night was eerily quiet in Beijing's Chaoyang district when the sound of a heavy thud split the silence. At 2:47 a.m., the security guards of a luxury high-rise on Dongdakao Road rushed toward the courtyard, only to find a man lying motionless under the pale light of the street lamps. Minutes later, the flashing of police cars illuminated the glass walls of the tower. The man was identified as Menglong, one of China's most beloved actors and singers. The city awoke to headlines screaming the same message: Menglong dead in apparent suicide. By morning, his management released a brief statement claiming severe emotional distress and exhaustion had led to his tragic fall. But as dawn broke over Beijing, whispers began to spread online. Those who had seen the scene firsthand noticed things that didn't make sense. The balcony rail of the 12th floor penthouse was perfectly intact. There were no skid marks or broken tiles where a person might have climbed or lost balance. His shoes, still neatly on his feet, untouched by the impact. To the untrained eye, it was a jump. To the observant, it was something else entirely. Social media erupted. Weibo filled with posts questioning the timeline of events. Some fans pointed out that Menglong had just signed on to a new historical drama, had filmed an upbeat live broadcast days before, and seemed anything but suicidal. He looked excited, like something great was coming, one fan wrote. Noticed that his last online post, uploaded a few hours before his death, contained a chilling sentence: "They won't let me speak anymore." The post vanished minutes later, deleted by an unknown account. Within hours, the story took on a life of its own. Journalists tried to reach the building's residents but were turned away by police. Videos of black vans entering the compound circulated online before disappearing. Mainstream media quickly echoed the same line: a case of suicide due to pressure and fatigue, and several independent bloggers who questioned the narrative saw their accounts suspended. A sense of fear began to settle in among those who knew Menglong personally. His close friends insisted he had never shown signs of depression. One described their last dinner together: he was talking about a big deal, something that would change his career. He wasn't broken. He was angry about something, about people who used him. The words now rang like a warning that no one had understood in time. 3 days after his death, his mother appeared before reporters outside the crematorium. Her voice cracked as she held up a framed photo of her son. "My son didn't jump," she said through tears. "He was pushed." The image of a grieving mother, framed by flashes of cameras, spread across the internet despite attempts to suppress it. Under public pressure, the Beijing police announced a brief review of the evidence, though no new findings were released. Then came the first leak. An anonymous source inside the forensics department revealed that there were bruises inconsistent with the fall, marks around the wrists and a faint line on the neck that suggested restraint. There was no trace of sedatives or alcohol in his system. Most disturbingly, CCTV footage from the hallway outside Menglong's apartment was missing exactly 8 minutes. From 2:37 to 2:45 a.m., the estimated time of the fall. The power cut was too precise to be a coincidence. As public outrage grew, the family hired a young defense attorney named Li Horan, who specialized in criminal investigations involving public figures. He filed an official appeal demanding access to the forensic files, security logs, and digital data from Menglong's phone. What he found deepened the mystery. The entry log of the building's elevator showed 2 unidentified cards used on the 12th floor shortly before the incident. Maintenance records were altered the next day. Menglong's personal phone had been wiped remotely at 6 a.m., 3 hours after he was pronounced dead. International media began to pick up the story. Western tabloids called it China's most suspicious celebrity death. Domestic platforms tried to drown it out with entertainment news and soft coverage. But hashtags kept resurfacing. Justice for Menglong trended repeatedly before being removed. One investigative journalist, under a pseudonym for a Hong Kong outlet, published a damning piece titled "This is not suicide, this is silencing." Within hours, the article vanished, and the author reportedly went offline. Still, the momentum could not be stopped. After weeks of silence, Beijing People's Court officially reopened the case following a petition signed by over 1 million citizens. The reopening sparked chaos in the media. Commentators debated whether the state was conceding to pressure or attempting to control the narrative once more. The courtroom doors finally opened for the first hearing. Cameras were allowed. Only a handful of reporters were admitted. and they were instructed not to record. Yet word spread quickly. The prosecution had presented new evidence, a recovered audio file from Menglong's cloud drive. In the faint, shaky recording, a voice could be heard saying, "If I disappear tonight, tell them it wasn't me." Outside the courthouse, hundreds of fans stood holding candles under the gray winter sky, whispering prayers for the truth. Temperature dropped, but no one left. Somewhere beyond the cold stone walls, mother waited to hear whether her son's death would be called what she always knew it was, not a fall, but a murder. As the court adjourned for the day, the lead judge announced a statement that sent shockwaves through the country. Further evidence has emerged. This is no longer classified as a suicide case. Reporters rushed to send updates before the official feed was cut. Inside the silent corridors of the court, truth was beginning to surface, slowly, dangerously, and irreversibly. Beijing's lights flickered against the night sky. One line echoed across every corner of the internet. The fall was only the beginning. The courtroom was silent. The kind of silence that hums with tension. Cameras were banned. Phones confiscated. And only a handful of journalists were allowed to sit in the narrow press row. On the far side, Menglong's mother clasped her hands together, trembling. Her son's portrait sat framed in front of her. Quiet witness to the day justice would finally speak. Prosecution began with the evidence that changed everything. Covered CCTV fragment from a backup server, footage thought to have been deleted, flickered onto the courtroom monitor. Two men in dark suits exited the 12th floor at 2:45 a.m. 7 minutes before the fall. They didn't take the elevator, they used the emergency stairs. Neither appeared in the building's employee registry. When questioned, the management company claimed no knowledge of their existence. The defense protested, calling the clip inconclusive. The image of one man looking directly into the camera before it cut out sent chills through the room. Next came the financial trail. Bank records revealed a mysterious transfer of $3 million from Menglong's management firm to a shell account registered in Hong Kong one day before his death. Account holder, his personal assistant, who disappeared overseas immediately after. The assistant's phone was found in Shenzhen weeks later, wiped clean. Prosecutors argue that Menglong had uncovered internal fraud, advertising deals worth millions siphoned into offshore accounts, and had planned to go public hours before he could. He ended on a balcony 12 stories up. Witnesses followed. A building security guard testified that he had been told to forget what he saw. A cleaning staff member recalled muddy footprints near the balcony railing, footprints too large to be Menglong's. Then came the most damning evidence of all, an audio recording retrieved from the actor's personal cloud drive. His voice, nervous but resolute, said, "Disappear tonight. Tell them it wasn't me." Of knocking, then muffled shouting, filled the courtroom before the clip ended in static. Menglong's mother broke down. The judge called for order. Outside, hundreds of fans waited in the cold, clutching flowers and candles, watching every update broadcast live by foreign media. Inside, the defense clung to the suicide narrative, arguing that fame, isolation, and pressure had driven the actor to despair. But the prosecution's closing words cut through the courtroom like a blade. Despair doesn't cut power lines, delete CCTV, or transfer millions of dollars. The room fell into uneasy silence as the judge rose. The final verdict was delivered in a clear, steady voice, based on new forensic and circumstantial evidence. The court finds that Menglong's death cannot be ruled a suicide. It is hereby classified as a case of organized homicide. Sentence echoed through the chamber. Gasps, sobs, camera shudders. Reporters sprinted for the doors before the feed went dark. Justice was far from complete. The ruling named no suspects. The alleged perpetrators, the two unidentified men, the missing assistant, the corporate executives implicated in the fraud, remained beyond reach. Within hours, several online articles about the verdict vanished. The official court transcript was redacted. A day later, a key witness was reported missing. In the weeks that followed, China's entertainment industry fell under a heavy shadow. And companies quietly rewrote contracts. Journalists whispered of censorship orders. Hidden corners of the internet. Fragments of the truth kept surfacing, leaked photos, financial spreadsheets, untraceable messages signed only with the initials YM. Night, an anonymous email arrived at a Hong Kong news outlet, He didn't fall. He was dropped. Done yet. The message contained a single attachment, a blurred image of a private jet manifest listing names tied to Menglong's management firm. The sender was never identified. As the story spiraled across borders, a new investigation began under international pressure. Officials promised transparency, but each revelation seemed to expose something darker. Behind every headline lay silence, money, and fear. For Menglong's family, closure remained elusive. His mother, now under police protection, gave a final interview to a foreign journalist. "They took my son," she said softly. Cannot take his truth. Outside, the winter air over Beijing was heavy with smog and grief. In the distance, the courthouse lights glowed against the night sky, reflected in puddles on the empty street. Somewhere, justice had spoken, but power still whispered louder. It was final. But the story was not. All was never the end. It was the beginning of everything they tried to hide.